This is a Violet Jester Media Podcast.
Welcome to this epic disaster. Hey, people, how are you?
People? Are you kind of fucking people? Is that where you were going with that?
No, I really wasn't, but I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm just a little off because we do have a dog in the studio, and we have a special guest, and it isn't the dog.
Right.
But for the first time in a long time.
Because it's always been the dog.
That's right. Let's introduce our special guest. Do you want to do it, or should I
will.
do it?
This is Mike Faber.
Yay.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Hi, Mike. And
We've
Mike,
been wanting to have Mike on the show for quite a while.
Yes. Because Mike is the...
Big Cheese.
That's him, the big cheese over at ESO
Network.
And that is Earth Station 1?
Yes.
Okay. So you have several podcasts on there.
Oh, yeah. I host 2 shows. I guest host on a third one.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the network itself right now, we have 27 different shows.
27.
Yes.
And you
Wow.
don't you host some programs at DragonCon?
Yes. I host multiple panels at DragonCon.
Yeah.
I help, program some of the different tracks with them. And then we also do South Carolina Comic-Con.
Right.
And also Wholanta, which is the Doctor Who.
Wow.
Here.
Of course.
Well, that's a lot of stuff. Do you ever drink beer?
Of course I drink beer.
We like to start our show with a live beer review, which is what we're going to do right now. And, I felt that it was great to do a holiday beer, a holiday brew.
A stout.
And I looked around for something that we hadn't had before, and I landed on this one.
Well, I'll tell you, it looks fun. I mean, I can smell it. It smells like beer. I can't read. I'm old. Oh, here, let me help out.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Sloppy drinker, right?
We have a weird opener.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So,
This is by Abita.
okay, so this is
Abita.
Abita. That's what I was looking for. We've had some of theirs before.
We have.
This one is it says Office Party Holiday Stout.
Oh, it smells
Ooh.
good.
It just
like
says
it.
flavored ale.
Kind of cinnamony smelling.
Well, yeah, it's Christmas party stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, flavored ale brewed and bottled by Abita Brewing Company in Springfield, Louisiana.
Look how dark it is there.
Because it's a stout. Nice. Careful.
All right.
Yep. You go ahead and taste.
That's good stuff.
I'm going to huff it for a while.
It's called Office Party. Did we mention that?
Yeah, I did.
I think it is. Kind of a holiday kind of thing. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to
Ready?
see if there's taste up. I'm going to see if there's a description here.
Wow.
Spice up your holiday mix and mingle with this best-dressed brew.
It's good.
Office Party is a holiday stout brewed with oats, pale caramel, and chocolate malts.
I taste the chocolate in it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It is hopped with Willamette hops. I don't know what that means because they're just hops of some sort.
Yeah. From
And-
the Willamette Valley of Oregon.
Well, look at that. We have a beer expert here. I like it. Okay. Generous amounts of cocoa
It's
nibs.
unusual that we have someone on the show that knows what they're talking about.
Because we don't.
We just guess half the time.
Normally we just say, I like it.
All right, so we'll be doing this, and then at the end of the show, we give a rating.
Yep.
1 through 5. 5 being best.
And this time you're going to get 3 ratings because Mike's going to have to rate his.
That's right. We will. Well, the other thing that we'll have 3 of is we're going to play a round of Zabmondo.
Uh-oh. I've heard this.
Let's just get it out of the way.
It's fun. Now, Zabmondo is a game of Would You Rather. So basically, you get asked a question. Would you rather? Sherry's going to demonstrate right now.
Actually, I'm going to drop a stone.
That's right.
And the stone I drop is going to determine what question I get, what category.
Yeah, sort of like
question I
Trivial
get.
Pursuit.
Okay.
Here we go.
And it's a green one.
A green one.
What does
All
green
right.
stand for in
Green
Zabmondo?
stands for ethics
Oh, well,
and something
there
else.
we go. We're out.
We have none of those.
Nope.
All right, green stands for ethics and intellect.
I have none of that
That's
either.
right. All right. Would you rather tell the unsavory truth about a well-respected public official
Duh.
or allow the person his/her privacy because they're doing a good job?
Oh, crap. They're doing a good job?
apparently.
Damn it.
So you know something unsavory about them,
Yeah.
even though they're doing a great job. But-
So if I think they're doing a great job, that means I have someone in politics that agrees with what I agree with.
Yeah, the problem is
So rare, though.
there's no
Yeah.
well-respected public official doing a great job. So
There's
that's
that.
the problem.
There's that. Okay, so
Which would you rather do?
I think that if I had this person who I probably voted in office,
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing what I considered a good job,
Let's throw out Al Franken.
Oh, I loved Al.
Yeah, me too. Doing a great job. And what the infraction, I think, is debatable whether he should have been let go.
he should not have been let go.
No, he compared to what some of these people have done,
Right.
he barely did anything.
Right.
He made an unsavory
He
joke.
was a comedian
Yes. Yeah.
who made a joke. But
Right.
they were out for blood at the time. But this goes along with that question. So let's say you know about this, about Al. And it doesn't have to be specifically Al, but I'm just
But
throwing
an
that out.
owl-like person.
Someone who's doing a great job, great
Yes.
senator, you
Yes.
know something, you gonna out them, or you gonna be quiet?
Okay, so if it's just that minor of an infraction, I'll be quiet. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
Because you know how hard it is to get somebody in office that does what I want?
Yeah,
It's very difficult.
very difficult.
The problem with that, though, is what did they do?
See, now
Yeah, that's
if
the
it's just
question.
if it's an unsavory joke like infraction,
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but
if
he
it's-
got accused of putting his hands like on people's asses and such.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true too.
Or if he had an affair with their baby,
Oh,
Wow.
then you
Wow.
kind of want to let
You
them
went-
out.
you
Then
went
you're
there.
out.
You went dark.
Well, I'm
way-
just saying, you got the two contrasts, one or the other.
Okay, do you know what I just realized, and it just kind of shook me in my core?
What?
Is that there was a woman that said to me in 2016 while Trump was running for office before he made it to office, and I'm not going to get too terribly political here.
No, we don't get political on the show.
But what he said, or what she said to me was, that girl who said the whole grab him by the pussy thing.
Uh-huh.
Who doesn't? When you're young, who doesn't like the little excitement? A little.
All the women I dated,
Thank you.
none of them
And
liked
this is a
it.
woman speaking to me, and I'm looking at her and I'm going, "How do I know you?
Yeah.
What world?"
Well,
are
that
you
was
in?"
were
my
you
problem.
friends with this person?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So-
Friendly.
Okay, friendly.
Yeah.
Acquaintance.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, hasn't that been and again, we don't get very political on the show, but hasn't that been the thing about the last couple years is just kind of the
Yeah. I mean, that was
When-
my first
when-
experience.
of people that normally have been kind of zealous in holding government people accountable, and then all of a sudden start looking the other way when it's
Yeah.
obvious they should be holding them accountable.
Yeah.
We should all be holding them accountable. I think that there's a little bit of confusion at that point, and we all kind of like, wait, this is okay? When did it become okay?
but we've lost that.
I know
It's been thrown out
and
the
it's
window.
gone forever.
Yeah.
It'll never come back. I think you might get a term where some of it will change, but I think once the box is open, it's like once the Ark of the Covenant comes open, you turn to sand.
But like it's
Do you actually turn to sand?
That's the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I saw the movie. That's right. Don't look, Marion.
But the thing is, you always think it's gotten this low. How much lower can it go?
Oh.
And it does.
So much lower.
Oh, yeah. And it
I mean,
has.
I have in my imagination. I know that it can go so much lower.
And I think in a lot of, I'll be dead. I'll be dead. I think at some point I'll be gone. But I just think it's gonna. I think there'll be a time when it has to crumble because it can't just keep getting low and still be bound together. I think politicians. Here's what's going to happen. And we
Why
still
are
have
we on
two-
this
I know.
tangent?
We have 2 more rounds of Zabmanda to do. But what's going to happen is politicians are going to see this as a standard of acceptable. It's going to be acceptable. They're going to go, oh, okay, people are okay with this. So, and I'm starting to see it even in some of the new Democrats that are coming out. They're like,
yeah.
oh, really? So it's okay to kind of talk like this and act like this. Oh, I'm going to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do it. And then the Republicans have to answer back. Democrats have, and then it never stops. And the snowball keeps going.
when you consider 20 years ago what was inappropriate or what made you think, how did he do that?
Well, look at what happened. There's this new movie out with Hugh Jackman where he's playing Gary Hart.
Yeah.
Remember Gary Hart?
Sure.
He had to drop out of being president because he was a front runner and he was going to be in an affair. And he, the whole pictures with the boat and everything.
Right.
And now look at the president,
Yeah.
Stormy Daniels, that
Yeah.
whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like, it's nothing
It's no
nowadays.
longer an issue.
No.
Because we experienced that once, and now we're immune to it.
Exactly.
We're desensitized to
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
And again, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but
We have.
I think about
Too late.
I think about Monica Lewinsky, who was turned into an
evil demon creature.
well, let's say she was turned into a porn star when she was actually a really, really nice human being.
Right.
And so
Not that porn stars aren't.
I think
Please
it's
don't think
interesting that now we have an actual porn star that some people are trying to make.
An evil demon person.
No, they're trying to be like, no, that's
Oh,
okay.
that-
It's
yeah.
no problem.
You're right. You're right. It's there's.
And that's not a slam against porn.
No, not at all.
Not
I
trying to do that.
do tend to slam against porn sometimes.
You just porn slam. All right, it's my turn. Let me drop a stone here.
Okay, you do that on your own time.
I got to grab some colors. Got the colors. Can't even pick them in my hand here. We went off we never do that. We went off a little long there.
We've never gone that far on a Zobmondo question.
We've never gone that far in politics. All right, I'm going to drop one. I think I'm going to drop a green too.
Lies.
Yellow.
It's yellow. It was close. It was very close. Add a little blue. You're good. Okay, so yellow stands for my favorite, random. Okay, so my random
That was
question.
random.
Would you rather spend the night in a house that's just been completely fumigated? Oh, this is a personal note. This is a seriously personal note. Okay, so would you rather spend the night in a house that's been completely fumigated or
Go ahead.
not that kind of fumigation?
I don't know.
Prepare dinner on a counter that's covered with ants.
Well, I've done that.
Done
one.
that. Done that. Done that.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, completely covered with ants.
The counter, yes.
Completely covered with ants.
Like you can't see counter.
And what was the
it's
first-
not as specific as that.
Okay, what was the first one? Fumigation. What was it?
Would you rather spend the night in a house that's just been fumigated?
When you say fumigated, what was it fumigated with?
I would think it's probably one of those houses that have the tent over it that's been for termites
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, that's why it's a personal note. For those of you that don't know, let's go melancholy for a moment. Rick's wife's father was murdered by somebody fumigating a
What?
building.
This show's really going happy, right?
I mean, you guys listened to episode 6, right?
Was it 6?
I think so.
I thought it was 3.
Well, we
That
got
was-
dark early.
That was way in there. I'm going to go with the ants, I think.
Good call. All right.
Because, you can actually eat ants if you want to.
I've watched Anthony Bourdain. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't, what's his name? Not Rickman, but Zimmern. Doesn't he
He's
eat
eating
ants
ants,
too?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Some uncles.
Uh-oh, my turn.
It is now Mike's turn. Okay, so you're going to go with the ants.
I'm going with the ants over the fumigation.
Good call.
I just locked your dog outside and I forgot.
Whoops.
All right. Let's see what color Mike gets here.
Hopefully she doesn't.
It's a red
It's
one.
a red one.
So what is red, folks?
Would you
Okay,
rather red?
so I can't see. The category for red is pain, fear, or discomfort, which I have all of.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't we all?
Glasses here.
So the question is,
Okay.
thank you, I need glasses. Stop it.
I'm just trying to help.
The question is, would you rather wake up and have to go to an important 2-hour business meeting without showering or going to the bathroom?
Done that.
Ooh, done that.
Or would you rather wake up and have to go to an important 2-hour business meeting still drunk from the night before?
Done that.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Been
think
there for
I've
both
done
of those.
all of those
Yeah.
things at the same time.
I think I've been unshowered and drunk still. So,
Okay.
And had a meeting in the shower
Yeah,
while
exactly.
drunk.
This is
And going to the bathroom.
so this
oddly enough.
question is irrelevant.
Okay. Excellent. For my first one, I got an irrelevant one.
Irrelevant.
No,
one.
just one that was all
But, okay,
encompassing.
but-
Exactly.
But if you had to choose between the two, either non-showered and having to potty, or drunk.
I can focus when I'm still drunk. For a
Right.
meeting.
But you
Exactly.
can't really focus when you gotta go.
Yeah, if I have to really go to the bathroom.
It depends on
yeah.
your. It
Yeah.
depends
And
on.
I will sit cross-legged that whole time. Yeah, of course.
It depends on your job too. If you're a pilot for a plane, I think I would rather go with the stinky, the unshowered person rather than the drunk
As opposed
guy.
to the drunk guy.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
well.
you.
That's true. All right. Well, Zabmondo has come and gone.
We're past the Zabmondo
That was an
phase
interesting
already.
of this podcast.
An interesting Zabmondo. Mike Faber, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thanks for coming on the show. Every week or so, we sit around and say, we got to get Mike on the show. And you had us on your show back when we were doing Life in a Kill podcast.
Oh, long time ago.
It's been a while. And then I think Sherry was on your Doctor Who podcast.
I was.
Yes.
I did talk about a couple of episodes.
And
that
you
I
were
liked.
better than I thought you would be.
Fuck you.
What? I'm sorry. You really, really sucked.
I mean, I expected that.
No, I just didn't know that it was like you knew a lot about Doctor Who. And I mean, I know you know.
I have forced you to watch every episode
Okay,
that
I
exists.
understand that, but I'm just saying I didn't. I'm sorry, but I
But you
didn't
haven't
know you.
watched the new season yet.
I didn't know you could do a whole podcast about Doctor Who.
And one that has been
Been
on
doing it
for
for
how
over
long?
200 episodes.
That's right.
200 episodes.
So now,
Wait, what's the name of that podcast for people that are curious?
Earth Station Who?
Earth
Earth
Station.
Who?
I like it.
Yes.
how did you get into networking, podcast networking? That's an interesting thing.
Completely by accident, actually.
How does one get into it by accident?
He fell.
I fell.
He fell.
He
and
just
the remote
fell and he got up and he was like,
the remote control was just
I'm in a
there.
network.
And I fell on it.
I had a choice of creating a flux capacitor or a podcast network.
Marty, Marty.
You made the wrong choice.
I think so, too. Time travel would have been so much more fun.
Right?
I know.
You can do all the podcasts back in the 1800s.
Exactly. Well, basically what I ended up doing is I had done Earth Station 1 and been doing that for probably about 2 or 3 years. And people started complaining because every episode we were talking about Doctor Who.
Right.
And basically we decided to spin off the show into a Doctor Who podcast. Also, that's how Earth Station Who was created.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time we just had the 2 shows, but I had other friends of mine who were like going, well, you're doing a podcast and, you know, doing 2 podcasts. What do you think about we're doing a new science podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about us joining with you guys and maybe starting a network?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what I was going to get involved with because I did podcasting as a hobby.
Sure,
You know, it was
sure.
just for fun.
Yeah.
And we were doing it weekly. At first, it was my nephew who was my co-host.
Mm-hmm.
And it just then went through a series of co-hosts until I found Mike Gordon, who still with me
Right.
9 years later.
Right.
So it's just pretty amazing.
And how many shows are on the network now?
27.
Holy crap.
Of those 27 shows, how many do you host?
2.5.
2.5.
Yes.
I like it.
That's pretty impressive,
answer.
though.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I do Earth Station 1 weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Earth Station Who is weekly when Doctor Who is on the TV.
Right.
And when it's not, we do it every other week.
Okay. And you talk about past episodes.
Yeah, we talk about like old series or even more recent stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we have people who we're friends with or that we know come on the show and talk about their favorite episodes.
Because it's just fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
And it also fills time because there's a lot of time between seasons of Doctor Who.
Right.
And
Too
there's,
much.
And there's also 55 years of Doctor Who to go through.
And you've got the time.
Exactly. And then we also do the Dragon Con podcast.
Yeah.
So
And that's called
that's today it's called, it used to be the ESO Dragon Con report, but we've changed it to separate it from ESO and to make it its own beast.
Sure.
And each year we call it like the 2018 Dragon Con report.
the Con Report.
Yes.
That's right. I like it. And you spell it like Con.
Like Wrath of Khan, because we started off as a segment on Earth Station 1 because we have a weekly segment called the Khan Report. And KHAN.
Right.
You know, and we play, you know, the Star Trek thing and everything.
I like it.
It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I forgot what I lost my train of thought.
That's because we were talking about Doctor Who and you just went blank.
No, it was because Doctor Who. Because what I was going to say is, has that podcast has it led you to meeting people on Doctor Who?
Oh, very much so.
And you've interviewed them.
We've met and interviewed so far 3 doctors.
Wow.
And we've also, like, tons of the companions or people who've appeared on the show.
Can you name names?
Alex Kingston.
Yeah.
Mark Shepard. Peter Davison, who was the 5th Doctor. We've also met Colin Baker,
Okay.
who was the 6th Doctor. And we've also met Sylvester McCoy.
Didn't you guys also meet Moffat, or you were in a room with him?
We were in a room with Moffat.
All right.
He was kind of Moffating.
Moffating.
Yes.
Yeah. He was
And
being Moffat.
We actually met Peter Capaldi, who was the last Doctor, at
Yeah.
Dragon Con this last year.
Isn't that great?
Oh, he is one of the most amazing people I've ever met.
I will tell you, I did not watch any Doctor Who except for past stuff for 3 years, because I watched one episode with Peter Capaldi and I went, nah, and I walked away.
Really?
And then when Jodie Whittaker took over the role, I went, fuck. Now I have to go back and watch 3 years. And it took me like a week because I fell in love. I fell in love with him.
He was a little tough to get used to.
Yes.
Because
he's mean.
He's very mean, or as we used to call him, Dr. Angry Eyebrows.
Yeah.
And because, he scowled all the time. Yeah, exactly. And it was rare because he was an older doctor.
Right.
And before that, you had Matt Smith, who was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And David Tennant, a lot of people refer to him as Dr. Hottie, because...
I mean, me too.
Yeah, of course. And then before that, you had Chris Eccleston, who brought the show back.
Right,
After,
right.
15 years off the air.
So nobody was used to an old Doctor unless they were a fan of
The old series. Exactly, because when the show started, the Doctor was an old man already.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny because he looks like a really old guy, and he was played by an actor who was in his mid-50s. And mid-50s in 1963 is a lot different than 55 in 2018.
Correct.
And everything. And
Correct.
you had Peter Capaldi, who was almost the same age, but a lot more energy, a lot more energetic.
Just bounding all over there were some times I could see it was like, well, he's not David Tennant when it comes to the energy. That's for sure.
No.
But boy,
is, though?
he is like, he's picking it up.
Well, exactly. And that was kind of fun with it. And he was a hoot at Dragon Con this year.
Was he? That's nice.
God, you saw him everywhere. We were friends of mine who run the American Classic Sci-Fi panel. They have a whole track, and they were doing like a Planet of the Apes panel. Out of nowhere, Peter Capaldi ran into the room.
I love it.
And he was like, apes! There be apes in here! And because he's a geek also, and
Yes.
he's a huge sci-fi fan.
Yes, he is.
And
a musician.
Exactly. He's a guitar player. And he used to be in a band with Craig Ferguson.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Back in the 1970s and early 80s. So it's actually pretty cool.
Cool. So if any of our listeners want to hear anything, obviously we have a very knowledgeable Doctor Who fan. And if any of our listeners want to hear any of that, they can go to esonetwork.com and find all of those podcasts there, including the ones that Mike, you...
Exactly. Or if you have iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Or
it's there too.
It's all up. We try to be on every social media we can be.
We try to too.
Now, your other podcast, Earth Station One?
Yes.
What is that? How does that differ from the...
Earth Station One is more like a magazine type show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Earth Station One is a show that every week it's a different topic. We have like an opening segment where me and the co-host Mike, so it's Mike and Mike. It's a perfect radio show name.
Love it. Mike and Mike in the morning.
Exactly.
Mike and Mike on the mic.
Exactly. And so we just talk about anything like you guys do. We just BS the whole time for about 15, 20 minutes. Then we have an interview segment. And during the interview segment, we interview anyone from artists, writers, podcasters, celebrities. You guys sat in the geek seat.
We did.
Yeah, when
we
you guys
did.
were on the show.
And Rick had no idea what he was doing.
No.
Exactly. And so we did stuff like that. We do that weekly. And then we have the main topic. Like this last week's topic was the Holiday Geek Guide. And we talk about, what to get the geek in your life.
Oh,
Last
yes.
week we did a review of the Fantastic Beasts movie. And then we've talked about the Queen. We talk about comics. We talk about music. We talk about science. We talk about,
anything you might fan about.
Exactly.
Anything you might geek out about.
Right. And we've done 448 episodes.
Wow.
So,
and you do them weekly?
Yes. We've only missed 2 weeks.
It's better than us.
That's really cool.
Well,
we've been late. I don't think we've missed
we
yet,
haven't missed,
but we've been late.
Yeah. We've been like 4 days late.
Well, there's a big difference in being late. And, like last week's, last week was the one episode we lost because my computer crashed and lost the episodes we recorded.
Just one.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And
Some of our early episodes, we actually recorded, we didn't realize the mics were not hooked up properly to the laptop, so we recorded them into the laptop
Through
mic.
the speaker, the mic on the laptop.
Oh, sure. Well, there's some of the early episodes I wish would disappear.
Yeah, right.
You're like, that'd be one of them.
Exactly.
Well, it kind of leads me to my next question. Because, all right, last night I went to an event. My wife sort of dragged me to it because it was a podcast I'd never heard of. And it's locally produced, but it's a national podcast. And I can't remember the name. But anyway, it's a history podcast.
It's the two women, right? Is that the one?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's produced by WABE, which is Atlanta's public radio.
I volunteer there.
It's
Do you?
it's
Yeah.
a history podcast. So they had an event last night. Basically, what they were doing, they've got I think a 6, 7, 8 episode podcast. Maybe it's longer than that. I don't know. And it's a serial podcast. And so they had an event last night, which was basically kind of revisiting the podcast. And they were going to talk. They had some of the people from the podcast. They brought them in to chat about the podcast.
I love where this is going
So
because
it's
I
like
love
a
this
best of?
entire idea.
Well,
No, since it's a serial podcast, it's like reading a novel. You get a chapter every week.
Yeah.
And so they had to have different characters and things.
it wrapped up, and well, I mean, it's a historical thing. So they brought in some of the people who were actually on the podcast. So, but I guess the point that I'm getting at is they decided to do this for the public, and they sold tickets, and I think over 500 people showed up
Wow.
to a podcast event.
I would love that.
Right?
I would too. We had an event.
Yeah,
We had an event
We have
and-
panels when we have like 10 people. sitting
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
audience and everything.
But it's still
But
fun
you
to
guys
sit
have
and
done-
chat about.
You guys have done your holiday your thing you did for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah. And that's sometimes successful, sometimes not. But we've not had 500 people. But I mean, I think that it even surprised them. They were very surprised that many people were in the audience. So podcasting, it's moving in that direction where you're really starting to find podcasts that draw a lot of people. And
Yeah.
now you can just go, like we did. We think I'll start a podcast.
Sure.
We'll do a podcast. So
But the thing is, anyone with a phone could start a podcast.
that's what I'm getting at. So
Because I teach it.
you teach it. And so here's my questions to you. Let's just say somebody in our audience out there wants to start a podcast.
One of the 4 listeners.
Tell us what you would
Hey, I'm one of
consider
those 4.
One of the 5 listeners.
Okay.
Yes, because the other 4 are my friends.
as the creator of a podcast network. What would you consider the tools, the things that you would need to have to start a good podcast?
Your voice.
Voice, number 1.
Voice is good.
Voice.
Because if you don't have one.
Imagination.
Okay.
Okay.
Creativity.
He's got all that.
Stamina.
I've got all that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know. But you need to have, you basically don't need to have a technical knowledge to do a podcast. It isn't that hard to do a podcast anymore. There's sites out there like Libsyn and, at Audacity and things like that where you can record a podcast with your computer, your
Right.
phone,
Right.
or there's other programs out there that you can do. You can get a very affordable microphone that's broadcast quality now for $40. You can get a Blue Snowball, basically, and all you need to do is record. And like I tell people when I mentor them or lecture and talk to them.
Where do you teach at? Do you have a business that is just for teaching, or do you?
I
just
did
do
at
it?
one point, but currently I'm working with another friend of mine to restructure how we're going to be doing it.
Okay.
And we're going to actually maybe doing like a continuing education course
Oh, great.
to teach. But we also when we go to cons, we do podcast panels.
Oh, okay.
And such.
Nice.
And we talk to them that way about it a lot of times. Because there's a studio, voice acting studio up in Norcross, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And it's called the Neighborhood Studio. And I was working with them.
Yep, I'm
And-
going to take one of their classes.
Awesome if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And they are, September is awesome. And so is Bob. And they're
Okay.
great people. And they work with you.
I'll give him your name.
Oh, please do.
I'm not above name dropping.
Oh, Mike Faber sent me. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's fine. I don't have
And they say, get out of here. No, don't come.
Don't go.
No. And it's pretty awesome, though.
Okay.
And, but what I always tell people, don't get into podcasting for the wrong reasons.
Like money?
Which would be money.
Money. You're not going to become a Mark Maron. You're not going to become a Kevin Smith. You're not going to do that right away because a lot of those people, that's not their main source of income anyway.
Correct.
And they also have corporate sponsorships and everything.
In that same, I'll tell you, we've been podcasting since 2013.
When we first started.
We've never made $1, and we've spent tons of money. So it costs us money to podcast.
Yes.
Oh,
Now
it
you can
it does us
podcast for
too.
free.
Of course.
There are ways to podcast for free.
On your phone.
Yeah, but the way that we have chosen, we have to pay to do it.
You guys have a great setup here.
Thank you.
You guys have a really awesome setup, and it's comfortable. You guys got really good microphones.
If there weren't dogs coming in and out of the studio,
That's the problem. And there was
that makes me very
I understand
uncomfortable.
that.
Well, here's what I think. I did a lot of research. I listened to a lot of podcasts when we first started. And my thought was, in podcasting, what are you doing? It's sound. It's all sound.
All sound.
It's all audio quality.
Exactly.
So invest as much money as you can up front in some good audio equipment, because it'll last you. This stuff is 5 years old or more.
Yeah.
Right? 5, 6, and it's still great. So people, I think, need to be able to hear you, and they need to be able to hear and enjoy you. So
they need to hear you without
exactly
in the background.
Well, that or sitting all the way back here and
Can
anything
you hear
like
us?
this. Exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, and I totally agree with you, voice, because you work on your voice, but production and the way it sounds and how you come across the audience, that is what you're doing. It's not a visual medium. And if you're doing jokes that are visual to each other, or you're doing, and we do this sometimes, but I mean, inside jokes that the audience is, you always have to keep your audience in mind when you're doing your show.
Most
Of
of
course.
our inside jokes, though, people are like, "What was that about?
Yeah.
What were you talking
Well,
about?"
a lot
There
of
has to
times
be
we'll
a wink,
share
wink,
it.
nudge, nudge type thing.
Yeah,
to it.
exactly.
But okay, so let's say someone does want to do a podcast. What would you say would be popular avenues or popular topics to do with a podcast?
Everyone's different, dude. You know, literally, there's podcasts on any topic. There's podcasts that just talk about beer.
Mm-hmm.
There's podcasts that talk about sex. There's podcasts about therapy. There's podcasts about gaming. There's podcasts about woodwork. There's podcasts about, talking to
Cars
people. Yeah,
or
exactly.
bronies or
And really,
Exactly.
so the bottom line is do what you love.
Exactly.
Do a podcast of what you're passionate about, and you'll find your audience.
That's the two things I tell people. Do something you're passionate about. Your audience can tell in a heartbeat
Yeah.
if you do not have a passion for it anymore.
Do you know what I think our passion is?
What?
This is going to get really deep.
I'm going to leave.
Should I head out?
No,
Do
our
I need to close the
passion-
door behind me?
Is each other.
I knew you were going to say that, and I started to throw up a little bit.
You had that look on your face.
I know.
He turned a little green.
No,
but what it is you and I like to hang out and
Yeah.
chat, and we bounce off each other well, not
Yeah.
physically, not anymore. And I think that people enjoy that. Like everybody I've ever heard tell me what they think about the podcast says, it feels like I'm sitting in a room with friends,
Yeah.
and I try and interject, and you can't hear me.
Right.
Because all we're doing is sitting here and chatting. And again, they feel they can hear us well enough that they feel like we're right there.
But there's something more to it too, because I could not do this podcast with my wife.
No.
And I love talking to my wife, and my wife is hysterically funny.
Yes.
But we don't have this kind of thing that would work on a podcast.
She's not. No,
You know what
don't
I'm
say it.
saying?
I was going to say she's not as fast.
No,
that's
she
not
is.
true.
That's kind of mean.
No, she's
you know?
very fast. I'm just saying there's a weird kind of chemistry. And I mean, I think when we started the Life in a Kill podcast back in 2013, we recognized that and that kind of died. But when we brought it back, we just have fun chatting and doing stuff and trying to make an audience entertained. There are people who probably do it better than we do.
Well, and I'll be honest with
There
you
always is going
again.
to be somebody better, though.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself.
Exactly.
Don't try to be Mark Maron. Don't try to be
Because you can't keep it up.
Exactly. Don't try to be Hardwick. Don't try to be Sarah Silverman or Paula Poundstone or whoever, because they have a successful podcast. I have to emulate them or try to be them. Be yourself.
They're
You
already
gu-
there.
You
But you
guys
don't-
have a great chemistry together.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm a listener. So like I keep on saying,
But
Mike,
see,
listen.
I've listened to other, and that was another research that I did was couple podcasts when we first started. And I found a couple that were just fantastic, but I found a lot of them that were horrible. And this is kind of what we do pretty good. But then you think about Mark Maron. Maron is one of the best interviewers
Out
ever.
there.
Ever.
Yes.
Ever. I mean, he's like Carson level.
Oh, yeah.
He goes
Agreed.
into more depth than Carson.
Yeah,
does ever.
Dick
he has
Cavett.
time.
Yeah,
Dick
exactly.
Cavett or somebody.
Dick Cavett's a good one.
But even better.
We're
And
showing our age.
I know.
But I just think I've said that for a long time, and I mean, I don't know what in history is going to prove podcasting to do, but Maron himself is, I think, no one can equal him as an interviewer. I just think that he's just so good at it.
True.
And that's the thing. You might do an interview podcast and it could bomb. You might do a podcast with your best friend, like we do, and it bombed.
Oh,
You never know.
There's plenty of them, and that's one of the things I tell my students. 90% of the podcasts out there that start never make it past the 7th episode.
7.
That's how our
See,
first one
we
died.
don't even release until we have 6 now.
Right.
So our first one, we released our initial podcast. We recorded it, we released it.
Well, that's what we told you when you guys were on ESO with the Kill
Mm-hmm.
podcast. You needed to have 5 podcasts
At least.
under your belt at
Yeah.
least, just so you guys are comfortable with it. Because we made the mistake of, oh yeah, first episode, come on board.
Yeah.
And because at one time we've been up to 35, 36 podcasts. on the
Wow.
network.
Wow.
But we've also had probably a good 50 podcasts that have come and gone and everything over the years.
Yeah.
Sure.
And everything because they couldn't handle, or they lost the passion, or they got too busy and podcasting wasn't a priority to them.
Right.
And
right.
everything. So
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the advice because I get a lot of questions from people about the podcasting thing. We get some people who write in, and I just know. I mean, I read it all the time, and I think, well, I believe you're a member of the Atlanta podcast group, and I always see letters from people saying, "I'm starting my first podcast. What should I do?" And I always just say, "Why are you starting the podcast? You should already have a reason why you're starting it. You might not know technically what you're supposed to do,
Right.
but." You know, have a focus, have a reason for starting it, and then jump in.
Yeah. When people say, I want to do a podcast, what do I do a podcast about?
Yeah.
Every time I've ever wanted to do a podcast, it's because I have something.
Yeah.
Now
Oh, yeah.
I want to put it out there. So that's where it came into, it is already something, let's do a podcast.
Oh, sure.
If you just say, I want to do a podcast, okay. About what?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's kind of interesting because years ago I worked in radio, and people always used to say, "Oh, you've got a voice for radio. You have a broadcast voice."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Okay, I have a broadcast voice. What do I do with it now that I'm not longer working in radio?" So I started listening, probably like 2005 or so. Started listening to different podcasts and stuff, and some of them are really bad.
Oh, most of them are really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sound like they're recorded in the bathroom or in the basement of the science center or something like that.
And famous people,
Oh yeah, there's definitely
well-known
And they're
comedians
horrible.
have horrible podcast sound anyway. I just don't understand.
It's like, why can't you call your sound guy on the phone and be
I know.
like, can you set me up? You know?
Exactly. And basically, I went to my wife. I said, "These guys suck. I can do better."
Yeah.
You know. So I went to a lot of them though and got advice because there weren't boards like on Facebook, or there wasn't a Podcast Atlanta at the time. And most of the podcasters were very friendly and very much open, telling me what to do
Sure.
and how to get started. That's what. And any podcaster worth their salt is going to give you good advice.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for them not to.
Oh, no.
If they don't, because we've literally had at a panel last year a woman walk up to us in tears saying, "You guys gave me hope. I've been so torn down by other people saying don't podcast and stuff." And it's both Mike and I were like, "What?"
Who would tell you not to
exactly.
podcast?
I
Jerks.
want the competition.
Jerks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Jerks.
yeah.
Oh, they're afraid of her or something like
Yeah.
that.
And it's
Insecure.
probably being at a con like you were at a panel. It's probably because they were very much into the same things. And maybe it is they didn't want the competition.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I welcome the competition.
Well,
the
it's
more
just
the merrier.
more. Yeah, it's just more
Exactly.
talk about it. It's
And
more fanning about
It's,
it.
it's like I tell people, podcasting right now is where radio was 100 years ago.
Right.
And basically, back then they had all the mom and pop little local stations and not these huge conglomerates like they have now that eat up all the shows that do regular stuff over and over and over. I don't even listen to Atlanta radio anymore. That's how bad it's gotten.
It's
Yeah,
very
oh,
difficult.
yeah.
The only thing I maybe listen to is the NPR station, just because I like NPR.
The news, yeah.
Exactly, real news. Not fair and balanced stuff.
We were on NPR.
Hey, one of the things. Okay,
Were you?
We were.
We were.
Actually.
Let's-
For our other podcast, Life in a Kilt podcast,
that's right.
we were interviewed by Lois Reitzitz on NPR.
It was fun.
It was fun. He didn't want to talk about it, clearly.
Obviously.
Well, I wanted to make a turn because we're running. we got to put an end to this podcast at some point. While we have you here, we're going to take advantage of you.
Uh-oh.
Tomorrow,
That's okay.
tomorrow
I'm easy.
begins Hanukkah. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, tomorrow is
No,
the first.
I thought it was Sunday.
Sunday night is the first night.
Is
Okay.
it Sunday?
Yes.
I want to talk about Hanukkah.
Okay.
I don't know a whole lot about Hanukkah other than what most Gentiles know about Hanukkah.
I will say that you know way more than me because you have somewhat of a religious background.
Look, this is awesome.
It's a menorah.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Oh.
And I just feel like that it's the season.
It
it's
is
the
the
holiday season. And we're going to be talking about Christmas a lot. I think it's a good time to talk about Hanukkah.
Okay, let's discuss
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. It's a thing.
Hanukkah.
Okay.
And I'm not going to start doing the Adam Sandler.
I'm going
thing. Don't
to
worry.
we will probably ask you some really dumb questions because
That's okay.
And you know
I'll
what?
give you dumb answers.
While Rick and I are regularly offensive, not intentionally offensive, just
Sometimes.
stupidly offensive. In this particular situation, if we do ask you a question that seems offensive, it's just due to ignorance.
That's okay.
That's literally
I
it.
know lots of ignorant people, so
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
I
All right.
podcast.
So 2 more is not going to hurt. Okay. So what's gonna be the beginning of Hanukkah? Let's just say, all right. So Christmas. Let's say.
Do you want
the
a history lesson?
The day
A
after.
little one in a moment.
The day after Halloween.
Right.
Is the beginning of Christmas.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
basically.
Right. True.
And we don't stop, and we just keep going, and then Christmas Eve. People get together, they eat, they give presents. Then Christmas Day, they get together and give presents, and then that's it.
And then the next day they tear it all down.
There's not a lot of rituals. You might go hear music, you might go see a nativity play or something, whatever. But there's not a lot of rituals involved, other than
Put up a tree.
seeing decorations and stuff. So
Dreidel.
what's going to happen with Hanukkah?
Well, basically, Hanukkah is a very minor holiday in the Jewish religion.
Okay,
Okay.
You know, it's become bigger over the last 30 years.
trying to
just
take on
because-
Christmas.
Exactly, commercialism, completely at
So
its best.
it's not like as big as Yom Kippur. or
No,
anything
oh
like
no,
that.
no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
That's like Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. That's the Jewish New Year and the Day of Atonement.
So yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah,
this
this
is like
is-
let's
this
get
is
together
like-
and have some food.
This is the first. This is like, as far as Jewish holidays go, it's one of the minor holidays. And like even growing up, my grandparents didn't even really celebrate it
Wow. Okay.
and everything. Then everyone used to say, "Oh, you're Jewish. You get 8 days of presents, Mike. That's awesome." No,
No.
never.
That's not how it
never,
works.
Never ever worked that way. Basically, it's the Festival of Lights because it's in the middle of winter, and it's based off of a 2nd century BC holiday that basically a bunch of rebel Jews were held up in a synagogue because the Romans were coming after them, and they basically were surrounded, and they only had enough oil, like half a cup of oil, and it ended up lasting 8 days.
Okay.
And that's the story. Basically it's like how there's a meme going around on Facebook basically saying, it's like your cell phone battery is at 10% and it lasts for 8 days.
No, that's never
Exactly.
gonna happen.
You know.
You would have to ration that phone.
That's a miracle.
Seriously, ration that phone.
Exactly. So, but that's basically what the story was, and because they call it the Hanukkah miracle and everything, and it's a whole thing with the Maccabees and stuff, and so it's pretty interesting stuff.
So basically, now, okay, is this an actual documented event, or is this like Noah's Ark?
Wait.
No, it's a historical fact.
Okay.
The battle actually, it actually happened.
Well, the battle, yes.
And so basically, it's the right from our friends at Google.
Oh, I like Google.
The 8-day Jewish celebration known as Hanukkah, it commemorates the rededication during the 2nd century BC of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, where, according to legend, Jews had risen up against the Greek Syrians oppressors in the Maccabee Revolution.
Okay.
And so,
Interesting.
And so it was an interesting story. We learned it in Hebrew school growing
Sure.
up and everything. And that's all Old Testament type stuff. And so basically what it does is, in remembrance, you have menorahs. And each day you have one candle. You start on the outside.
Okay.
And you have the main candle.
Uh-huh.
and you use the main candle to light each day.
So you start with this one.
This is always
Has to be lit.
It always is always lit.
Okay.
And then you work, start here, and then you work away the other direction.
Okay, so
So-
apparently you start on the next one in,
Yes.
and then
The
the next
middle.
one in,
And then
And you
work your way out.
and then you work your way out.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's traditional looking, menorahs
This is
and everything.
cute.
Now, do you light them for
Yes.
an hour and then blow them out, or
No, you let it burn down.
all the way down?
All the way down,
and then
each day.
You put a new candle in.
Yes.
Ah.
And each day, so then you do the first day, and then you do second day, and then third day.
I
and
did not
but you have
know
like
that.
3 candles, and you'll have 4 candles in there. But you always have one in the center.
Yeah.
And is there a ritual involved with lighting the candles?
Yeah, you do a prayer,
Okay.
and it's called the Baruch, and you basically recite the prayer as you're lighting the candles.
Okay.
And
And what does the prayer basically translate into? What is it for?
it basically, you praising God for remembering, us, and giving us the miracle of the light that they were able to hold off.
Okay.
Oh.
And I just was handed
Sorry.
each, And, an additional candle is placed in the immediate left to the previous night's candle. And the candles are lit from left to right. So the kindling begins with the newest light. Since their lights are holy, they weren't supposed to make practical use of them. It's not like you're using it as a reading lamp or something.
Or for warmth. Or
Exactly.
anything.
No.
It's- Okay.
And so- and
it's
it's just
strictly for ceremony.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a
And so
ceremony.
that's the menorah. Now, what's the dreidel here? Because we got a little dreidel.
Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
Dreidel.
I made it out of clay.
Did you
That's
learn
the
that
only.
on-
That's the only Jewish song you know,
Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
other than
That's the only
Fiddler on
verse
the
she
Roof.
knows.
I don't know the rest of the song.
know.
A lot of people don't.
Okay.
Actually,
now, you
the
didn't-
dreidel is a gambling.
It's a what?
It's like
You
playing
gamble.
craps
Gambling.
in the alley.
Kinda,
Wow.
Is it like playing craps in the alley?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
I
and
like
you,
it.
depending what it lands on, because if you see here on each side, on
This
each
is
one,
a Disney dreidel.
Yeah.
So
You
there's
brought a
money. Is there
Disney
money
dreidel.
involved?
Yes.
Wow.
In some places, there's money involved.
Interesting.
And there's the one that looks like a backwards L, like that. It's called a nun, and you take nothing.
Looks like
Oh,
a high
no.
heel here.
Then you have one called a gimel.
Doesn't it? It
I
looks like
the-
a shoe.
The
Yeah,
Disney
kinda.
dreidel
Right.
there. I don't know that Walt Disney was
Was he
a
Jewish?
friend of the.
No, he was
I didn't
not
think
Jewish.
so. I didn't
No.
think so.
He wasn't necessarily a friend of the Jewish
there's
people.
stories about anti-Semitism.
About him not being
right.
Jewish. About him
I'm
being
not sure
so
what he would
not
think
Jewish.
of the
Exactly.
Mickey dreidel there.
But and then you could take, if you depending what you spin, you could take all the pot.
Okay.
Wow.
Or you could take half.
Now, how did we miss that at our Christmas thing?
Or then there's another one where you have to put more money in.
Oh, so if you land on one, you owe money.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's
So
pretty cool.
that is pretty cool.
But, and one of my hobbies actually is collecting different kinds of menorahs.
Oh,
So I brought a couple to show you.
I've wanted to have one. My wife and I wanted to have one in our house,
lost
but we feel that people might consider it
Because there's like
appropriated.
disrespectful.
Little
Oh,
appropriate.
interesting.
artsy.
Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to
It's the
take pictures
VW
of all
bus.
of this and I'm going to post it on
Yeah,
the website.
definitely. We got to do that.
Because he just gave us or showed us a Volkswagen bus menorah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one Judy and I use a lot of times.
So
That-
this is the one at the house.
It looks like a tire tool.
Yeah.
It does. It looks like a bunch of lug wrenches.
Yeah, kind of.
And this has been our regular one for the last couple of years.
Oh,
I love it.
It's a dog.
It's a
It's a
dog
dog
with
dreidel.
a. It's not a dreidel. This is the menorah.
I meant menorah. Sorry.
Okay. This and he's got like nuts on his back. Don't take that the wrong way. I promise I will take
Lug
a picture.
nuts.
Hasn't
Lug
been to the
nuts.
event
Lug
event
nuts,
yet.
which go with the lug nut tool.
Wow,
Exactly.
very cool.
Awesome.
And then we have
Oh, nice. That's like a little jazz.
It's a jazz
group.
band.
That is a blast.
This is just a fraction of our collection that we have.
But
at
this
home.
okay.
Very
Oh,
cool.
okay. I see. So this
It's
is
a
okay.
klezmer band, actually.
Klezmer?
Klezmer.
Yeah, klezmer is Eastern
Yeah.
European music.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It
I
was-
want to
it
get
was unique.
photos of all of these
Of course.
before you go.
Now, you didn't make that, did you?
Oh no,
Someone else
I
called
wish I
them.
was that talented.
Wow, that's
you
very,
could
very
do that.
cool. We will have to definitely get a photo of all of these menorahs.
Yeah,
The little Volkswagen bus is very cool. This because my dad had that. My parents had 7 kids, and we they toted this all around in
In the little Volkswagen bug.
hippie bus. Yes.
Okay, so what other rituals are involved with Hanukkah?
A lot of cooking and eating always.
I like that.
Yes, but
What's
a
a
lot of fried food.
I'm
What's
okay
a
with that.
tradition? What are
I'm
the
not above that.
traditional foods for?
Potato latkes, which are potato pancakes.
Yes.
And the way we were able to like have my son eat them when he was little, we said, "Oh, it's just like hash browns. You'll love it."
You'll love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we did.
We go to Goldberg's Deli for breakfast, and we have those instead of hash browns.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course.
They're awesome.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right. So lots of food.
Lots of food, but then it's a lot of family time.
Okay.
And like I said, the whole thing with presents and everything, that's more recent.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up for Hanukkah, like one night I would get a pair of socks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or oh, Mike, we got you some corduroys for your next day.
Yay.
But then they started having to compete with Christmas and everything. The presents started getting grander and grander and grander, and
Because the kids that you were going to school with were getting,
Exactly.
big wheels and much nicer kinds of toys.
Oh, exactly. And every, depending where you grew up also, you have different interpretations of what you celebrated Hanukkah. And also depending on, what section of Judaism. Because, it's like with Christianity, there's all these different, sects and everything.
Yeah.
Catholicism, Southern Baptist.
Exactly. Episcopalian, whatever. And there's Judaism, there's Reform, there's conservative, there's Orthodox, and then there's Hasidic. And, the Hasidic are the ones with the curls
Right.
and the big beards that you see.
Because they don't cut the hair at their temples.
Yeah. So,
Something like that.
yeah.
Well,
no, you
okay,
got it
so
right.
Okay.
one of the things that I guess, and this is so dumb.
Oh.
It's just dumb.
Yay,
but it's,
dumb.
I guess, being raised in East Tennessee, like I am, and I mean, I know a little something about Hanukkah, but just, I think the attitude that a lot of Christians have is that Hanukkah is a competition.
Well,
with
that's what he was
Christian.
just
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
It pretty much it had to become a competition.
But it isn't really.
No.
It's a completely
it's a
different
totally
religion.
different thing. Well, it's not just a totally different religion. The whole reason for having them it's based on a
Different
completely
reasons.
different thing. You could actually do them side by side if you wanted to.
And did you know anybody that did both?
Are there a
Yes.
lot of Jews that have Christmas trees?
Yeah.
I would think so.
Well,
Yeah.
they call them Hanukkah bushes.
Why not?
Or holiday trees?
Holiday trees too. Yes.
Yeah.
Because my parents weren't very religious growing up.
Weren't? Did you say weren't?
We're not.
Right.
And, my parents were hippies and the
Yeah.
whole thing. And so my family, we ended up probably from maybe 10 or 11 started having Christmas trees. But the only thing we wouldn't have would never have Christ on it or angels.
Sure.
And everything. And then my first wife, William's mom, she was not Jewish when I met her, and she converted, but the one thing she wanted always was a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So we did. So there are a lot of families out there that do both
Sure.
and everything.
One of my favorite episodes of
Oh, God.
30-something.
We're going to TV. Here we go. He geeks out about sitcoms.
That's
the
cool.
way
No,
we
30-something
geek out.
wasn't a sitcom, but I'm a big 30-something geek. And there's
Oh,
an
that's right.
episode,
It was a drama.
There's an episode of it's hokey, but I watch it every year. There's an episode of 30-something where Michael, who is Jewish, does not want a Christmas tree, and his wife Hope wants a Christmas tree. She's Christian, and they married. And then at the end, of course, she lights a menorah. He brings a Christmas tree, and it's like, it's the kind of the
compromise.
Exactly.
The little
But the
Christmas
thing,
story.
it's interesting
Pretty.
because a lot of times Hanukkah doesn't even fall anywhere near Christmas.
No, I know. That's what I'm thinking. It's weird how it's set up though as a competition when it really. I mean,
No.
I could put
It's because somebody Christian, I'm sure,
Yeah.
decided to put Judaism against Christianity.
Of course.
They decided,
No, it
let's
was-
market it this
It was
way.
a marketing company.
Exactly.
That did it. It wasn't probably just one person. It was
Well,
just
no,
it was
but
Hallmark or
They
something like
being
that.
the-
But I would say
yeah.
the last 5 years, I've noticed so much more Hanukkah stuff. I mean,
Oh, yeah, you can
little
go to
Hanukkah
Walmart now
dolls
and
and
see,
Hanukkah
yeah.
Target,
decorations,
everything.
and they're really pushing that heavily.
Yeah.
What was it, the rabbi on the shelf or something like that?
Oh, dear.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So
very
why
funny.
why is everything you see at Target or Walmart or wherever? I just realized how stupid of a question I was asking.
Go for it, Sherry.
Okay, why is it all blue and white?
The-
I just answered myself in my brain. It's the colors of, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I went
Might
today.
cut that out.
I thought it'd be fun because I knew we were going to talk a little bit about Hanukkah. So I thought, well, I'm going to get a Hanukkah beer. So I went to the beer store, giant, the little, whatever, the giant.
In Toco Hills.
Yeah. Tons and tons of beer.
Yeah.
Not one single Hanukkah beer.
And yet there are 20.
You didn't see the Hebrew?
No, it wasn't there anywhere.
Yeah.
We've
gotten it's horrible. But
There is a Hanukkah beer that was released last year, and it was distributed here in Atlanta. They didn't have it there, but they had, probably 5 or 6 beers that actually said Christmas on it.
Right.
And a lot of holiday beers and winter beers and stuff, but none that said Hanukkah. I
But
was very
some that
disappointed.
actually did say Christmas.
Yeah.
Apparently, what is it?
Because we drink wine.
They drink wine.
Well, what would Hanukkah beer? What would it like? Chicken fat? What would it taste like? I don't know.
would
Some
taste
matzo
like matzo
balls. Yeah.
Gefilte fish.
Matzo
Exactly.
beer.
That would be
know.
horrible. A fishy beer.
Fishy beer made with matzo ball. No.
I don't know. I would think
Northwest. No.
maybe that's why Hanukkah it just kind of needs a little boost in marketing because I don't know. I think that the Christmas I don't know. They've been marketing it
There
long
are
enough.
26 religious holidays that fall between what is it? October something. And
Quick, name them all. Come on, right? Do it.
fuck you.
That's not even one.
It's one of mine.
That's
it's my.
China- that's-
I have the right to.
that's a holiday for you?
That's Chinese
yeah.
New Year. I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
Only if you dress like a dragon.
Well, okay, that's interesting. I've learned a lot here. I don't know if you
we
have.
need to learn more.
We
Yeah.
do. It's been fun.
Oh,
So-
it is.
Okay, so what else? What else is there when it comes to Hanukkah? What else do you do? You eat, you get together, you light some.
It's all
candles.
about family.
Okay.
That's what it should be about.
Okay.
And everything.
So it starts Sunday night,
It goes for 8 days.
8 days, and then so
Math is hard.
8 crazy nights, as someone said.
Yeah. That too.
So well, what do? You get together You have
Every
food?
night.
Every night, 8 days.
We used to get together with family and stuff.
I can't. You have to see your family 8 days.
No.
I couldn't.
Oh, no.
Can
No.
you have can you adopt
I could
somebody
not do
else's
that.
family?
No.
No.
Or maybe like you see one family one
But,
night, one
the-
another night.
A lot of places, have like public events. You could look it up, like the Jewish community centers or the synagogues or even towns, especially further northeast you get. And
do they do
everything.
like a singles night?
Yeah.
Really?
The matzo ball.
The matzah? No.
Oh
Yes.
man!
There's something called a matzah ball.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm going.
So
It was
okay.
a Jewish singles event.
Oh, you have to be Jewish.
So
No.
Never mind.
let's
Oh,
say
okay.
night 1 of Hanukkah. What you go to the synagogue? Do they have a thing?
It's
so
not like-
nothing
there's
goes
not-
on. They don't care.
They have like events. They
Yeah.
don't- It's not like like I said, it's a very minor holiday.
Uh-huh.
They don't have like services just for Hanukkah.
Right, like they
they
do
do
for
Rosh
Easter.
Hashanah
Right.
or Yom Kippur or
And
Passover.
yeah.
Well, Passover is more family oriented also because that's when you do the Seder.
Right.
And I can
right.
come back and tell you guys all
yeah,
about
we need
that.
to do one of those.
I want to know
You guys
more
should-
about the major holidays.
You guys should come to our Seder this year.
We
We
will.
always we have sometimes up to 27, 30 people.
Ooh, we should.
Wow.
When does that happen?
It's this year. I think it's in early April.
Because
late
it's like
March.
around what?
It's right around Easter.
Easter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ties into about the same time.
Okay, we'll do a follow up.
Yeah.
But isn't okay? I'm going to ask questions when we talk about that.
What?
I have Passover questions.
Well, Passover basically is the story of the 10 Commandments.
Yeah,
right.
All you have to do is watch that, wonderful movie every year.
which I watched when I was a kid. I loved
Wait,
that
Passover
movie.
isn't the one where they killed all the firstborns?
Yeah,
It is.
Yes.
That's what it
okay.
is. You put blood on your door, and it
It's
passes
basically-
over you.
It's the story of Moses, basically.
Right.
And everything. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
and then there was something with goats, but
Which
I'm
is
just
weird.
gonna leave that out.
I just want to point
well,
out.
you
that-
want to know something really funny?
What?
When I married my first wife,
Uh-huh.
she wasn't Jewish, and her mom was so opposed to us getting married.
Because you're Jew.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I had her convinced until the day of the wedding that we were going to have to sacrifice a lamb at the wedding.
I love it.
It was awesome.
And did she really, was she really concerned?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the same woman who, during the first dance, looked at me and she said, "I'll never forgive you for taking my daughter away from me."
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mommy has
Wow.
mommy has issues. Mommy has attachment issues.
But the thing is, when I married Judy, Judy's mom looked at me during the dance and said, "She's your problem now."
Thank you for taking her off of my hands.
So,
I love it.
very cool.
love
I
it.
was almost Jewish.
When?
My mother was engaged to a Jewish man.
oh, but that doesn't mean you were going to be
I
Jewish.
think she broke off because she realized that he wasn't Southern Baptist too.
Ah.
I don't know that.
So she thought he'd be both.
I don't know. He was a nice guy, and I have no idea why they broke up. But I do know that she was engaged to him for a while.
See, it's kind of cool because I come from a mud of a family.
Okay.
We have all different religions in my family. We have, Jewish, which we all started as.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have Jehovah's Witnesses. We also have Southern Baptist. We also have Christian. We also have, what else? They have Unitarian. And,
Any Catholics in there?
Oh, we definitely got some very good Catholics.
That's right. You're from New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
We only have the right one.
Got a few Irish
Wait a
Catholics up in there.
minute.
What? Okay.
So, yeah. And it's kind of cool, though, but because it opens your eyes to all the different religions.
Yeah.
Is there fighting because of that?
Not at all.
No religious persecution in your family?
No, but, like our Jehovah's Witness relatives think
They
we're
don't
all
show
gonna-
up for Christmas?
No, they don't.
Well,
or the wedding. They came for the reception, but they didn't come for this.
And they don't celebrate birthdays, so don't think you're getting something from Aunt Winona or whatever her name
Exactly.
Well, that's why I wanted to do
Anniversary
this.
gifts, you do that.
That's why I
And-
wanted to
yes.
do this. I just feel like that a lot of times. And I mean, I'm sure we have a diverse group of listeners out
All
there.
5 of them.
But I
are
just
probably
feel
from
like
different religions.
in all situations there's so much misunderstanding, and we goof off. We're the kind of people that I don't think either of us are prejudiced, but we like to
Make fun of everybody.
We like to make
should.
fun of
If you
everybody.
can't make fun
we
of
have
people,
fun. We make
what
fun
fun
of
is
our
it?
Exactly.
We make fun of ourselves, but we do it with respect. And I just think that one of the things that we really need to concentrate on the world today is understanding each other. And to me, I'm not one of those people who believes that we should all be the same. I don't think we need to sacrifice who we are so that we can all kind of be equal. I love the fact that we can have our own not religious, but our own celebrations, and we can have our own festivals to celebrate where we come from and our heritage.
Festivus.
Eventually, that'll go away. I think as society keeps progressing and everybody kind of gets together and marries, and it all kind of washes away.
Well, and it
we
doesn't
all
just-
kind of
no.
become the same person.
It doesn't wash away. It evolves. It
Yeah.
becomes something new and different and fun based on what, say, for instance, 2 people who get married and are from different backgrounds and they want to celebrate at the same time
Yeah.
in their own way. They create new traditions and then they pass that down and pass it down, and it just becomes a whole new holiday.
It evolves.
It evolves.
And that's the great thing about moving to Atlanta is getting the opportunity to be exposed to so many different cultures. Atlanta's a great melting pot.
Yeah.
Even though it is Atlanta, it's here in the South. Mm-hmm. You have so much
nice blue island.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have so much opportunity to kind of get to know what other people are like, and I didn't really have that growing up.
No, let me rephrase. I grew up in Richmond, Oakland, California, and then moved to Alaska.
Yeah.
And then moved to the South. So and I did spend a year in hell, also known as Minnesota. And
Hell,
Oh,
Minnesota.
sure, you betcha.
yeah, oh yeah, sure, you betcha. And so I was exposed to things. My parents were not religious, so I wasn't exposed to a whole lot of that. So I still have like very little knowledge of that. I've read the Bible 3 times. I still don't get it. So
It's a great work of fiction.
I agree. My favorite book is Ruth. I'll just be honest with you.
Ruth?
Yeah.
I think they should take that out of the Bible.
Why?
So the Bible will be ruthless. Whoa, I set you up for that.
Rick tells a dad joke.
Yes, baby.
Wow.
That was a triumph
Be
of the
prepared,
show. That's
because-
going in the best of reel right there.
Uh-oh, somebody has
Hey,
to go outside.
buddy.
Be prepared because next week is going to be full of dad jokes.
That's so bad. Why do
Oh,
you do
no.
that to us?
Because it was your idea.
It wasn't my idea. I really would
jokes.
rather you just not do it.
Oh,
Yeah, she
man.
just does too many
Shut
of
up.
those
Moving on.
things.
Okay.
Mike Faber, thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
thank you for
having a
having me.
beer and doing Zabmando and bringing all these great.
I love the doggy.
These are fantastic.
These menorahs that he
They're
brought to show
wonderful,
us.
and we're going to take pictures of them and
Yes.
post them online. Where can people find you if they want to follow you and follow your great podcasts and all of the 27 other podcasts on the ESO network?
Real easy. ESOnetwork.com. But we're also up on Facebook. We're also up on Twitter. Basically
Okay.
social media. I'm also up there as myself.
So you're public.
I am public.
I follow
Okay.
the ESO network, and every day I see tons of new podcasts pop up.
I
on
do
there.
too.
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
what I love about your
But people just need to listen to them, just not see them.
right? That's my thing is I'm like, oh, I'm going to listen to that later.
Yeah,
And
well,
then I don't.
you can't listen to all podcasts, but there's got to be a favorite on there. I mean, there's so many podcasts. There's 2 or 3 that are going to be great. I don't want to mention any by names because I'm afraid.
You one up another one.
No, I'll mention one and they'll be like, "Oh, he left. He's no longer."
Oh, didn't I
We
tell
found
you?
out that person was a really bad podcast.
That person was sleeping with so-and-so?
Yeah, so I don't want to mention it, but I know that there's a couple of them that I listened to, and one in particular that I just really, really loved.
Some that look interesting are flopcast. I like the idea
Hey,
of the flopcast.
anytime you could have 30-minute podcast talking all about chickens, how bad can it be?
Do it.
There you go.
Make it happen.
Kevin and Cornflake are awesome.
All right,
Kevin
well,
and
check
Cornflake.
that out. Go to ESO Network and pick out a podcast because there's a lot of good ones there.
Or listen to all of them.
Yeah.
We have a new
And-
website coming very soon.
A new website.
Yes.
So you're just redoing it.
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
still be the same URL.
It's the still same URL,
Okay.
esonetwork.com.
Gotcha.
It's just going to be a brand new look, easier to listen to the shows.
Fun.
And we actually just started a stream where all the shows are on one stream. So you have all 27 shows.
So you just turn it on and walk away.
Exactly.
Well, stay there
Stay
because you
there.
have to want to listen to it.
Exactly. And it's all, not pay-per-view, but
Mm-hmm.
we also, you basically can listen to it on demand.
I like
Cool.
it.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to wrap up by rating our beer.
All right.
Rating the beer.
Why
what do you
don't
think
we
of
ask
the
the
beer?
person who knows about beer first?
Mike Faber, what do you think of the beer? We rate it 1 through 5.
1 being bad, 5 being awesome.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Wow.
I love the chocolatey flavor. Stouts and porters are my two favorite beers.
Yeah.
So
Well
Is
done.
it my
Rick.
turn?
Oh, no, he wasn't done yet.
go ahead. It's okay.
I thought you were done.
No, I'm done.
Thought you wrapped it up. Sorry.
4.5.
4.5.
Okay.
Because I was also going to give it a 4.5.
Hey.
He was just excited to be one of the crowd.
No, I was afraid you were going to say 1.5, and then I was going to be like, crap, because I'm going to give it a 4.5.
No.
And then it makes me look stupid.
I
But
love
four
it
and a
that I
half.
could taste it still in my mouth.
It's one of the
It's still
tastiest.
there.
Yeah.
It's one of the tastiest beers I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying something. That's good. We had a lot of beers on the show. So, Miss Brown over there, what do you think? She always she's hard on beers. What do you think?
Once again, fuck you. I am
Wow.
actually.
A lot of
Hey, have you ever had sex while camping?
no, I've not
It's-
camped. I camped when I was 12, so I hope
It's
not.
Fucking intense.
Wow,
Dad joke.
I think you've had too much.
Whoop whoop.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just going to sit here with my hand to my head.
Have you ever run through a campground?
No, do the dad jokes
It's-
next week.
Past tense.
Do the dad jokes next week.
Folks, this is hurting more and more.
What do you think of this beer?
Help me.
Oh, we're back to beer.
Office Party by Abita.
So it's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Give us a number.
3.
Middle of the road for you.
Yeah, I'm not a huge stout fan. I'll be honest with
It's
you.
just tasty. It's tasty. It's got cinnamon and chocolate. And
I
it's
like
wah, wah, wah.
quads.
It also
and
goes wah, wah,
log-
wah. It does do
No,
that.
that's your head.
All right.
All right.
Well,
So you got 2 4s
2 out of 3
and a 3.
says that it's really good. Actually, 3 is not a bad. I mean, it's better than average.
I
better
didn't
than a
hate
2.
it.
So it's a good beer. Check it out. Office Party by Abita. I say for your holiday party, if you're office party, you can't lose. Get some of this beer. Thanks, folks, for listening to the podcast. We always appreciate you joining us. As always, you can find us at thisepicdisaster.com. We're also on Facebook. We're at Twitter. We have Instagram. Right. We do have Instagram.
Yes, we have Instagram.
And-
Matter of fact, you do it.
We'd love for you to send us some Christmas presents.
Please. We like presents, and we're too broke to buy each other presents. So you could send us presents from each other.
Oh, we got to do our Christmas present giveaway episode. Remember we did that last year?
Are you drunk?
No, but I'm
I think
thinking
you are.
now I'm going to go buy some Christmas presents.
Okay, so yes.
No, I'm just because this year I'm not getting any presents. My wife and I agreed we're not going to give presents this year.
And I've already bought her 5.
Really? Wow.
You only
really
need
like
3
her.
more and you can be Jewish.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Socks.
There
All
you
I got to
go.
do is go buy some socks.
She'll like that.
Yeah.
Get her a Menorah. Get her a Volkswagen bus Menorah. She'll love that.
I can't afford that.
But anyway, that's where we hang out. We would love for you to join us. Guess what? Next week, 1 year of this podcast.
Because this is episode 51.
Yes, next week's at 52. So we 52. We did a full year,
Right?
and then we start and we're really serious.
Then we're actually going to do a podcast.
Then we start
we're
really
just practicing.
podcasting.
This is just practice.
We're going to take Mike Faber's class.
Yes.
And learn how to podcast
Yes.
correctly.
Because we don't know how.
No.
No.
We've really blown it.
This is a disaster.
And I think next year you can count on much better things for this epic disaster.
If we get our shit together. That'd be great.
But it's still going to be us, so I doubt it.
Right? I doubt it.
Anyway, people, thank you very much. Thanks to Mike for joining us. And we will see you next week. Same place.
Same time.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.